actually 35 to 40 minutes. So you have sufficient time to stay.
I have how
Yes,
much minutes?
15 minutes more.
Okay.
Yeah.
In fact, when we think that due to a particular desire, fulfillment, I'm happy, that psychological state is not because of fulfillment, but rather because of the absence of that desire only we get happiness. Economist J.K. Mehta has given the theory of wantlessness for economic growth. I'll explain this thing because, in fact, what do we understand that if I fulfill my desire of having a car, having a big house, having this, what necessary is necessary, but desires, fulfilling desires give us happiness is a totally wrong notion. Suppose I have desired to purchase a ring and I went to the market and purchased a ring and I thought, oh, it's good. Oh, I'll show it to the others and I'm happy now. I saw the other day, I saw a different ring in my friend's finger. Oh, I have done a great mistake. I should have taken like this. And again, I was miserable. So that happiness for 12 hours retained because of the wantlessness of ring. When again the want of the desire of ring developed, then I became miserable. So fulfilling desires does not give us happiness. But if wantlessness creeps, then only we become happy. We must understand this. Now, one more thing. In contemporary times, we have developed several misconceptions about aparigraha, and out of that is minimizing desire will hamper the growth. It would be wrong to say that minimizing desire ultimately drop demand and lead to the collapse of economies or debtor production due to aparigraha practice. Minimizing desires would in fact forecast true need as against fake and created demand, would lead to concentrated and more pinpointed development and growth in sectors of primary importance rather than scattered and haywire growth. It would lead to process which can be termed as humanization instead of industrialization. Creation of human assets instead of capital assets will be the primary outcome. So, in contemporary times, we have I have discussed about the misconceptions of equating aparigraha with poverty and hindrance to development is wrong, because aparigraha and parigraha pariman vrat is self limitation, benevolence of giving and distributing. Growth is not measured by richness but by skill and intelligence. This was told by Amartya Sen, and therefore aparigraha is not poverty or hindrance to development. And accumulate wealth doesn't signify prosperity, because prosperous is one who has no scarcity and no desire and no wants. And possession defines does not define our identity, because parigraha is matter, unconscious, and we are conscious. Possession cannot define our identity. If we consider ourselves masters of our earnings or in control of things of people, material things and persons have their own entity. Therefore, control is not real, and no one can be master of any other living being. Both can be helpful to each other, just as says Parasparopagraho Jivanam. All living beings are interdependent, they must help each others. So, thus, these incorrect beliefs and lack of understanding of the true nature of possession and non possession lead to our inability to escape misery. So, if we want to become happy, we should live in minimum material things. The one want you we want to be the master or the servant. If we cannot live without so many things, so many clutter, then we become the slaves of that clutter. And if we live with minimum things, then we won't be the slaves of the material things. So, if we want our independent identity as consciousness, we must uncover our attributes of consciousness, Ananta Gyan, Ananta Darshan, Ananta Virya. Then the way is to adopt aparigraha or parigraha parimana vrat or ichha parimana vrat. In Jainism, the aparigraha is so important that uh, art of living is based on aparigraha. आहार शरीर उपदि पचकू पा पठार मरण आवे तो वो सिरे जीव तो आगार. And therefore our living and death are, if controlled by aparigraha, we can have a happy and prosperous life. Thank you. Thank you. I have discussed 6 systems, etc., but I think there it needs a different lecture and so many things like in Mimamsa, like in Vedanta, Sankhya, Vaisheshik also. But I think now you can ask and I'll reply.
Thank you so much, Sushma ji. Thank you for presenting your research. Now, I would request if any one of you have any questions. I think I see one here in the chat box by Professor Moyo. Professor Moyo, would you like to ask yourself? Professor Moyo, are you there? Or should I ask his question or wait for him?
Yes, it would be better.
Okay. So he is asking, what is the yardstick for measuring limiting our needs? Is it the self, or there is an objective something to help measure limiting? For example, if I have 4 cars, I can say I have limited my desire to 7 cars. Those who have more than others may be assumed not to limit their desire, yet maybe I have 1 aeroplane instead of 2 because I'm limiting my desire. So, does limiting desire not to have desire not bring happiness? Sushma ji.
Quite right. I told you that we cannot say mathematically or this is a parigraha. It depends upon the self need. We should not cheat ourselves. We quite understand in the time of corona, we were saying, oh, our needs are so limited. We are living in so limited resources. We can live in so limited resources. So it's not to show anybody that we are adopting parigraha parimana vrat or limiting the use of material things, but it's just to fulfill our needs. And if we have access, we must use it for the needy ones. So if one car is one car is needed for one family, it's okay. If 4 cars is needed for one family, it's okay. That is not parigraha. But for show off, for fulfilling desires only, then it's not a parigraha or upbhog paribhog pariman vrat. And therefore, in the beginning, I say it is self-acquired limit. It's not becoming poor or becoming rich or this thing. Self-acquired limit as per the need, not as per the greed or desire.
So then how to differentiate minimalism from aparigraha?
Minimalism is a practical aspect of aparigraha, that how much less material things we can spend our life. You see, if we hoard things, things hoard us. Things become our masters, and we all have clutter. So less means less, but more time, more clarity, more thinking, more working, more helping. So if we have less material things and less attachment to the things, we'll be able to do better working, better, we'll lead a better life.
No, I think you mean to say that Aparigraha is a theory or a principle, and minimalism is a practice of that theory.
Minimalism, a practice of that theory, that how much outer material possession we can stop. But really, internally, we are attached to it or not, the self examination is necessary. We ourselves can know, okay, this is mine. How can you touch it? You have broken, this is mine. How can the thing be yours? You are different entity, thing is a different entity. You cannot be the owner of that. Okay, you have earned, but the environment gives you sun, rain, water, mud, etc., and due to that resources, you have made something out of those resources. They are for all. The basic need should be fulfilled, everyone's. The right on bread is not only of one who is producing it, but the right on the bread is one who is hungry. So this is the aparigraha, the parigraha for all, not for the one who is earning. He has capacity, okay, he can have it, but utilize or consume as much as per need, and otherwise use it for others. And giving gives you happiness, the pleasure you find in giving, because then you become independent. Then real independence you have when you distribute, when you have accumulation.
Sushma ji,
You have fear of losing it, you have fear of theft, you have so many things, and therefore aparigraha is useful.
Sushma ji, are we getting confused between the terms aparigraha, parigraha parimad, and minimalism? Are we getting confused between these three terms?
It's
Or
not
they are the same?
confusion, it's not confusing. Minimalism is a modern concept. Aparigraha have two meanings. One is no, absence. So absence of internal possession, and we cannot do away with all external possessions. We have to have clothes, we have to have house, we have to have vehicle, we have to have this thing, but in less, use less, less, and less. Then only you will be able to have more conscious qualities to discover.
Okay, I
So
think Nolakha ji
the
has a
difference,
question.
between two is, for Shravakas, Upabhog, Paribhog, Pariman Vrat. Upabhog is the thing which is used for once, and Paribhog is the things which we can use again and again, like cloth is Paribhog Yogya, and milk is for Upabhog. So, how much less things we can have and we can lead our life. This is external aparigraha. That is upabhog, paribhog, parimanvrat, and ichha parimanvrat for shravakas or householders. But aparigraha mahavrat is for sadhus, because they can have no hoarding, they live without any hoarding, and they have the control over internal passions also, and therefore their mahavrat is called aparigraha mahavrat, and our mahavrat is called upabhog, paribhog, parimanvrat, and ichha parimanvrat. And to
I think
strengthen it,
Pash.
we have dik parimanvrat, disha parimanvrat. Okay, we have control that I will not go beyond this space, this place. I'll not use, I'll use only 5 things in my food. I'll have only 10 suits for my wearing. I'll have only 3. A daily, a Jain Shravak daily counts that I'll use this much, and other I leave them. What happens when we abstinate from the things, the we are detached with the sin also. Suppose there happens a killing, shoot. Somebody has shooted someone, and we were there. We five were there. One person came and shooted. So police came and said, okay, you all have to come with us, and you all. We have done nothing. Why should I go? You will say, I have done nothing. Why should I go? They say, because you were here. So once you are supposed to go there, and then we'll see what to do. Then you can say that I have done or not done. So if we don't leave the things, then all things are like considered as for our use. So this is the importance of of parigraph, limiting the possession.
Okay, I think
Okay,
so.
किसी की
It
क्रिया
means that passion is the key. I mean, limiting passions is the key. I think
Um,
Nolaka ji has a
yes,
question.
passion is
may I ask a question?
right. Passion is the key. Because of passion only we hoard things. Because of the passion only we are attracted towards things. Otherwise, Vaisheshik philosophy says that things are made up of atoms. And if we know this fact that things are made up of atoms, the form is not true, then we won't have attachment with the forms. And we this detachment, this passionlessness controls our hoarding and accumulation of things.
Okay, Nolaka ji, please
Yeah,
ask.
thank you.
Greed. If we conquer greed, we won't hoard things. Uh, yes, please.
Thank you, Pragyaji, for giving me an opportunity. You said one question. I've got two, time permitting. I leave it to the Sushma ji to address one or both. It was a wonderful explanation of the entire subject in hand. The first question is that when the concept of aparigraha or ichha pariman was first formulated, it was more than at least 2,500 years ago. The population explosion ever since has taken exponential rate. So we may say that natural resources, and we should not overexploit, because that was your opening statement about overexploitation. So with the population explosion, how do we meet it unless there is a development, unless there is more production, unless there is more manufacturing facilities? How do we do it? And this, I would leave it for your, explanation. And the second question is, you gave the example of bread twice. Said that the bread is produced not only for the one for consumption of the who manufactures it, but also for the one who is hungry. I think by making this statement, we are getting into the subject of economics. If I make the bread and everyone else eats it, even before I can eat it, or even if I eat one and then the rest is all distributed to the hungry, the question of economics comes into play. Then how do we handle it? Because I need to be remunerated. I mean, I have other needs for which I make the bread. So what is your take on that? Thank you very much, madam.
Quite right. Number one, the second question I'll take first. Okay, you have produced bread, right? But in front of you, there are so many workers working with your factory, and they are helping you in making bread. And if you exploit them, you are taking much ansh part, and you are giving them less. Then this is not the aparigrahi vritti. You should think of them also, number one. And number two, it's not that you are that this theory is telling that let them sit idle, let them not do anything, and give bread to them. No, if you are capable, give them work, give them food, give them. I mean, those who are capable should not think that my earning should not be used for others. This is the meaning of aparigraha. Number one. Okay. And the first question you asked, that due to the rise of population, in fact, there should be two-way working. We have to extract things from the environment, but we should do simultaneously that how it can be bridged. The loss is bridged. In Atharved, they say भूमे विखनामित्वम, हे भूमि मैं तुम्हारा तुमसे खोद कर प्राप्त कर रहा हूं धातु, पुनः संग्रहणाय, पर उतना ही ले रहा हूं जितना कि वह जल्दी से पुनः भरण हो जाए। तो एक तो उत्तर, और वो कब संभव होगा, जबकि हमारी इच्छाओं के खातिर हम उनको ये नहीं करेंगे कि आई जस्ट वांट टू बी वेल्दी, so these days we just want to be wealthy, if we need it or not, don't know. So this is to be stopped, and we should extract the environment as per our need only, not to become wealthy, etc.
Yes,
Thank you,
Pranitaji, please
Sushma
invite
ji.
Alok
Professor
Tandon ji.
Tandon,
Yeah.
Professor Tandon has something to say.
Yes.
Thank you
Yes.
very much. Actually, this uh, the question is, unless and until we have a new economic model, an alternative to this capitalist model of more and more production, more and more consumption, and more possession, and
Yes. Yes.
motivating the, everyone to possess more and more, purchase more and more, and the whole society and the individual has been converted into a consumer, a purchaser, and a seller. So,
Quite
unless and
right.
until that type of economic model is changed, how can you see that this Jenny sermonizing?
So we are not getting your voice. Please unmute. Somehow you are muted. Please unmute, sir. Alok ji. Yeah.
Yeah, I unmuted again. It was so. The question is, unless and until we change the whole economic model of development, the
Quite
economic,
right.
there is no possibility. Can you see any possibility of bringing in that type of aparigrahi persons? Because most of the time, the production, consumption, advertisement, motivation, creation of false needs, as well
Yes.
as
Yes.
what you referred identity creation. This is all a structural thing, and just giving people that this is not happiness doesn't work out. We have seen that Jainism has a long history, but a very limited influence on the society. Why it is so? Because it depends only upon the moral injunctions. It is not willing to change the social structures, economic structure of the society. Unless and
Sir,
until both go together, this cannot be worked out. Your response, please.
sir,
Thank you.
I agree. I totally agree. Amartya Sen said that any country is not developed due to its wealth, but if the persons of the country are intelligent, capable of doing work, and the kushal they are, then only the country. He has read so many books and he was a great economist. You are right that if the humanization is not done instead of industrialization, the the country is not going to be to produce the happy persons, because you rightly said that fake advertisements, the fake and created demands and attractive advertisements, and this has given the market the value of consumerism. It's not good for the country, and therefore the practice of aparigraha, minimizing desires, and having the true need against the fake and created demand, then only concentrated and more pinpointed development and growths in sectors of primary importance rather than scattered and haywire growth happens. And so, quite right, sir.
Madam, one thing I would like to say, myself, Avinash Kumar Srivastava, Buddha has rightly observed,
Welcome, sir.
yeah, uh, that a
Krishna.
householder should accumulate wealth like a honeybee. that
Was
collects nectar
beautiful.
from the
Yes,
flower without hurting and causing harm to it. And if we do like that, I think
quite right.
without disturbing the natural course of the world, we are not going to do anything, and our needs are also being fulfilled. So
Quite
it is
right,
the
sir. Quite right. Yes, yes, please.
thank you.
The our sadhu takes food that is called madhukari vritti, like the honey. Madhukar takes honey from so many flowers without hurting them, and
Without
likewise
hurting them. Yeah.
without
The
hurting them,
entire
and
thing will
very
be
small
protected. Yeah.
quantity, and the quantity is very small, so that they are not left with the scarcity. So this is very important.
Hey,
In
one
all
more thing is
Jain tradition.
man is the highest evolute of this world, and it has two works to done:
Yes, yes,
to care and share it also. If you share it, you also care
yes,
the natural environment. And if you don't care it, then
yes,
it will
yes,
create a destruction to the environmental process.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you,
you,
madam.
yes.
Dhananjay.
Sir,
We have
it is rightly said, अजरा मरवत प्राज्ञो विद्यामर्थम च चिंतयेत गृहीत इव केशेषु मृत्युना धर्मम आचरेत. While earning and while learning, one should think that I am not going to die, but one should think that I can die any moment. So utilize your earning and learning for those who are in need of that. So this is what the practice of aparigraha says.
yeah, Prakash ji also wants to say something.
अ, सभी को जय जिनेन्द्र।
Jai Hind.
डिस्कशन बहुत अच्छा हो रहा है, मैडम को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। See, my personal experience that we are talking parigraha, from the childhood, because this is the principle. But then what we are observing now today's mindset of the children, and because I just quote an example how aparigraha was practiced in our older days. It was not because of the compulsion, but because of the culture which was put in our mind from the childhood. That whatever is needed means, just I give an example that earlier the time was there that हम जब कपड़ा लाते थे या शर्ट लाते थे, जब तक वो फटता नहीं था हम उसको फेंकते नहीं थे।
Quite
आज
right.
आज ये माइंडसेट है बच्चों का कि ब्रांडेड लाएंगे, और वो मतलब मैं तो कई बार मुझे बहुत दुख होता है, मुझे फोर्स किया जाता
Yes, not able to listen you.
प्रज्ञा जी
है।
Prakash ji, we
एक
cannot
yeah, yeah, sorry, by mistake I think, I do not know. Anyway, so what I mean to say that we have to change the mindset of our children. That is, हम जो बोलते हैं ना संस्कृति बचपन से लाना चाहिए, तो सिर्फ अपरिग्रह बोलने से नहीं होगा, हमें बच्चों के दिमाग में डालना पड़ेगा कि उसके लिए सब धर्म के नाम पे नहीं बोल रहे हैं उसको, हमें बोलते हैं इवन इकोनॉमी, ओवरऑल इकोनॉमी ऑफ द कंट्री और इवन द ग्लोबल इकोनॉमी यू कैन से that is going to affect because of the mindset that whatever we need we should have only that, and then why we should rush. But only one problem is becoming today, that because of the more wealth is coming, they feel that why we should not enjoy for life. Now enjoyment of life does not mean that you just accumulate the things in your house. So I think this is
Quite right.
my
Prakash ji.
personal
Sir, sir,
opinion. It's a mindset which needs to be changed from the childhood. Thank you.
Quite right.
yeah,
Thank
Quite
you,
right.
thank you. We
uh,
have, I think we
Simplicity,
have,
may I speak something, sir?
सादा
In
जीवन
fact,
जीने की सलाह बच्चों को प्रारंभ से देनी चाहिए, इसमें कोई दो राय नहीं,
जी
इसमें कोई दो राय नहीं.
we
uh,
have Priya raising her hand. Priya Balia, you want to say something?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for such an insightful lecture. Actually, my question is that on your statement that when we fulfill our desire, it doesn't give happiness to us, like fulfilling happiness or complete happiness. But to realize that my desire is not giving me happiness, like the example you gave of a ring, if a woman buy a ring and somebody also possess the same ring, so we don't feel happy because other person also possessing the same ring. So some amount of desire must be fulfilled to realize that that desire doesn't give happiness to us. What's your point on that? That some amount of desire must be fulfilled before realizing that desires doesn't give happiness, like complete happiness, fulfilled happiness.
There is a difference between desire and need. You want to have skill in any art, okay? Then that to gain that skill, that is needed that you do some special work for that. And you think that this is my desire. No, that is need, number one. There is a misconception that fulfilling desire gives us happiness. In fact, suppose we have some desire and that is fulfilled, right? So now there is no desire of that thing. That desire is not there. We are wantless and therefore we get happiness. Now the question is, okay, if we fulfill, then only we get desireless and we get happiness. तो आपको जो खुशी मिलती है वो इच्छा पूरी करने से ही मिलती है। वो बात एक एक तरह से ठीक है, आपकी इच्छा है तो उसको पूरी कीजिए, लेकिन फिर दूसरी, फिर तीसरी, फिर चौथी इच्छा होती रहेगी। तो ये समझना चाहिए कि इच्छा की पूर्ति से नहीं, अब इच्छा नहीं रही इसलिए सुख हुआ। मेरा घर बन गया, अब मुझे घर की इच्छा नहीं रही इसलिए घर बनने पर मुझे सुख हुआ। इस चीज को समझने में अंतर है। और समझना, ये अगर इस तरह समझ में आ जाएगा तो हम केवल इच्छाएं नहीं करेंगे, जिस इच्छा को हम जरूरत समझेंगे उसको जरूर पूरा करेंगे और सुख प्राप्त करेंगे। तो इच्छा के न रहने पर, और कब इच्छा नहीं रहती, जो पूरी करने योग्य है उनको पूरा करिए, लेकिन ऐसी इच्छाएं मत करिए कि जो पूरी नहीं हो सकती हो या जो पूरी करना जरूरी नहीं हो, जिसके पूरी करने से दूसरे का नुकसान होता हो। तो ऐसे इकोनॉमिस्ट जो वांटलेसनेस की बात करते हैं, वो इस बात को कहते हैं कि इच्छाओं को आप ऐसे कैटेगराइज कर लीजिए कि कौन सी इच्छा है जो मैं पूरी कर सकती हूँ, उसको जरूर पूरा कीजिए। लेकिन पूरी नहीं कर सकते और उसके लिए दुखी हो रहे हैं, दूसरों को परेशान कर रहे हैं, यहाँ आकर परिग्रह परिमाण व्रत या अपरिग्रह का काम शुरू होता है। इस दृष्टि से इच्छा पूरी करने में दिक्कत नहीं है, पर यह समझना चाहिए कि वो पूरी होने के बाद इच्छा नहीं रहने से ही सुख मिलता है। इसलिए ऐसी इच्छा न करें जो हम पूरी न कर सकें या पूरी करने पर दूसरे को कष्ट होता हो। दैट्स इट।
Thank you so much, Sushma ji. I think it is time. We cannot take any more questions, but I would like to have some comments from Sulek ji.
First of all, I would like to say many, many thanks to Harshit Mishra ji. Your rendition of the Namokar mantra is absolutely very thrilling. I was thinking if I can record that, play that again and again by home, that will be great. So do me a favor next time. So thank you. Today's lecture is absolutely beautiful. I have listened to.
Sir, it's difficult to hear you. Can you just adjust your microphone again?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, yes.
Can you? Sorry. The second thing is the lecture today is absolutely great. I have listened to her many, many times. She is a very great speaker, full of ideas, full of wealth. And I think you have written a book on Parigraha, something like this. So thank you, Sushma ji. Always a pleasure to listen to you. Now, I was thinking as you were talking, the three biggest problems, the disease of the modern 21st century is the unlimited parigraha, unlimited wealth. That's number one. And that creates destruction of the environment, which we are talking Paryavaran. And the third way is the unlimited hinsa. So 10 people in the world today, they own half of the wealth of the entire world. Accumulation of wealth in few hands. So I think what is needed is we can talk parigraha or aparigraha is a brake in the car, speed brake. If we have a car, there is no speed breaker. It is very, very dangerous. Okay. So parigraha is dangerous because it's a no car without a brake. Aparigraha is that brake. And Gandhiji said there's enough resources in this world for everybody's need, but not even for one person's greed. So we
Yes.
need to talk more and more about parigraha and aparigraha because this is the disease of the 21st century. There are whole many models. So I want to thank you. Don't want to go on and on, hmm? But it is absolutely great to hear Sushma ji. Jai Jalandhar.
Jai Jinendra. I'm really obliged. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sulekji, and thank you, Sushma ji. Now, I would request our chairperson, Sachchidanand Mishra ji, to throw some light upon the topic and on the session.
Namaste, everybody. It was really a nice presentation by Dr. Sushma Singhvi ji, and many ideas which were actually not understood as part of aparigraha came here very clearly that actually these are also part of aparigraha. So you can see that in the whole Indian tradition, ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, aparigraha, these five are taken to be yamas and are request are needed to be followed by everybody. Therefore, in Yoga Sutra, it is called Te Sarvabhauma Mahavratam. So, this is one of Mahavrata, Aparigraha. And what is the need of Aparigraha nowadays? This is the big question. Because why this is the question nowadays? Because we are living in a time when uh, the countries which are producing more, the countries which are consuming more, they are considered to be developed, and the countries which are producing less, consuming less, they are considered as developing countries or undeveloped countries. So here the question can be put, how could we say that the person, the country which is consuming more should be considered developed and the countries which are consuming less, why they should be considered much developed, less developed? So this is the point that we have to look from different perspective, from different angle, and that is the idea I think Dr. Sushma Sanghvi ji started from Isha Vasyopanishad, Tena Tektena Bhunjitha. So actually, aparigraha is not taking anything, rather taking wisely. Tektena Bhunjitha, enjoying but leaving for others well. If you are not leaving something more, and there were many good questions, and I think this was a very good question when it was asked that suppose I have four cars, that but I am limiting our needs to four cars only, I am not taking seven cars. But the point is that in that situation, if everybody is having four cars, in that case, if you are limiting yourself, then it could be considered as aparigraha. But suppose if many people are carless, even in that situation, if one is having one car, that is also not a case of aparigraha. So when you are realizing the idea of aparigraha, there is a primary point, and that primary point, the basic point, must be considered at the beginning, that everybody is equal. And if everybody is equal, then everybody should have the same opportunity, equal opportunity. And in that situation, if you are taking much more, then it is not actually the case of aparigraha. But here again, this is not a policy matter. This is not the idea that how the countries should make a limitation, but it is because everybody is free. And if everybody is free, so everybody, freedom is actually, when you are defining freedom, freedom is actually can be defined only if you are defining freedom. Freedom is actually to commit some mistakes also, to act in that way, and to learn from that. So when it is said, it is prescribed, but it is not ordered. So when you are talking about minimalism, it is actually, I think, an idea of economics. But when we are talking about aparigraha, this is actually one prescription, and this prescription doesn't come from a master, because you can see that in Jain philosophy there is no god who could prescribe us. But we have to realize this truth. And if we realize this truth, that this realization comes from within. So, when this realization could come, because if you are considering everybody equal, if you are giving equal importance to everybody, then only this idea of aparigraha could come. Therefore, I think today's world, this idea of aparigraha is very important, and only this idea could make the world a little better, because the, as there are progresses, because you can see that there could be so much progress, there could be so many cars, there could be so many things, but the problem is there, if our desires are not controlled, we will not be living in a society where we could be happy. So in order to be happy, this is the actually you can see that this idea of aparigraha, for the sake of ourselves and also for the sake of others, because we are actually developed in such a way that when we become unhappy, when we are suffering, but at the same time we become unhappy when others are suffering. Therefore, this idea of aparigraha is developed for the sake of development of everybody, for the sake of well-being of everybody. So this is very important idea, and I think in today's world and also in the future, this idea will be very important. Thank you very much for organizing such a beautiful talk on a very beautiful topic with a very erudite scholar, Professor Sushma Singhvi ji, and I am thankful that you have given me this opportunity to chair this session. Thank you very much, everybody, Dr. Srinatra Pandey ji and others. Thank you.
We are thankful to Sachchidanand ji who have given us so insight regarding aparigraha and parigraha. We are obliged. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Namaste.
Thank you, Professor Mishra. And now I would request Dr. Ashok sir to offer vote of thanks.
Thank you, Pragya ji. Jai Jinendra. I take it as my privilege and pious duty to present vote of thanks on the occasion of this 18th lecture of monthly series organized by ISJS. Respected chairman of this session, Dr. Sachchidanand Mishra ji, and the renowned academician of Jain Studies, Professor Sushma Singhvi ji. Dr. Sushma Singhvi is, I think, the most suitable person to speak on this topic, as she has worked on the Aparigraha Vishwa course. So I think no other choice would have been more appropriate for this. And our chairman of this session, who is a renowned scholar of ancient Indian literature, was also very suitable for this occasion. Professor Sushma started with the genesis of burning problems of the world, and also she traced the history of the modern works in Atharvaved to the modern literature, modern works. She emphasized that a parigraha is limiting desire and it must be compensated by spirit of benevolence. So she has prepared her lecture very meticulously. We are very thankful that she gave her valuable time to deliver lecture on this topic. And as Professor Sushma Singhvi herself said, Professor Mishra gave valuable insights to this topic. We are very much obliged to both eminent scholars. I also thank Professor Dr. Jain sir, who is our mentor and is always ready to encourage us. He has, I think, never missed any program organized by ISJS. We are very thankful, sir. Professor Parsan ji, Dr. Bharti ji, and Professor Herbert Moyo from Durban, and some of our student participants in the various programs of ISJS, like Dr. Sri Naulakha ji, and our young friends, Dr. Ved Vyas Pandey, Delhi University, Dr. Sumat Kumar Jain, Udaipur University, have taken time to participate in this lecture. We are very thankful to all who contributed by their interaction in this lecture. And I am very thankful to our director, Dr. Sinat Pandey, who selected the appropriate persons for this occasion. I again convey my thanks to my colleagues and all the scholars who gave their precious time to make this program success. Thank you all.
And thank you, Ashok sir. Thank you very much.
And
Dr. Prof
yes,
is saying,
yeah, one important announcement. So next lecture will be delivered on contribution of Jainism to Ayurveda science by Dr. Rekha Jain from Bangalore on 24th February. Thank you.
great news. Thank you so much, Dr. Pandey. And thank you everyone for coming here. See you on February 24th with a new topic. Jai Jitendra.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Pragya ji.
Mr.
Thank
Pandey,
you.
and thank you all team of Professor Sugan Jain and everyone. Thank you so much, Naulakha sir, and all. Thank you.